My name is Lindsay Reid, and I graduated from OTM in the spring of 2022. A while, actually. Yeah, I left OTM with, burgeoning confidence because of all the skills I got here. And then I remember seeing a little clip, I think it was like Ian Cola, was just like, don't get too, confident, like you're gonna go out there and just take over the world. And I was like, yeah, whatever, I'm ready for this. And I was like, oh wow, like you really think you know everything, but then the actual practice of being in the audition process and going through all that, you're like, oh, I have a lot to learn still. But the foundation was there to like be like, not kind of, oh man, and like, it was just like, all right, keep going. So many close calls right off the bat. My first audition that I did, voiceover, that my agent sent me, I was like, are you sure they want that in that time frame? Like, they want this in 30 seconds? That's a very, very fast script. And then I managed to get it in. I was like, there's no way I'm not getting at least a call back for this. And then nothing. And I was like, oh, come on. And then, it took me almost a year to get a job. And it wasn't even a voiceover job. It was like trusting your process, trusting your skills, that it wasn't about rejection, it was about selection. And that every time I was going through an audition and I'd be editing, I would just be getting better at what I was doing. So every time I got an audition, whether I was like, I'm gonna book this or not, it was like, I learned something today. I learned something about how to read this type of script, how to manage my time, being like, oh wow, I've got this to do today. What do I need to do to get my body ready, my voice ready to get into the booth, record this with everything else that's going on in my life? It was exhilarating because it was something I auditioned for that I did not expect to get. I was like, the casting specs, I don't think I fit into this. So I went into it as just like, this is gonna be fun. This is just gonna be a good practice. And it was in person and it was gonna be with other people. So I showed up to the studio half an hour early, knowing I was gonna be going into a studio with other people, most likely having to improv. So I sat down in the booth with people and just kind of chatted them up. I was like, this is probably who I'm gonna go in there with. And so I got to know them and built some rapport and just started getting comfortable with this person, because I'm like, we're gonna have to go in there and look most likely like a couple. And that's kind of exactly what happened. Got to know who she was, got comfortable, and then all of a sudden here we are sitting at this dinner table on a cruise ship, chatting about our life experience on a cruise ship and what we're excited for, drawing back on memories of when I was on a cruise, making little jokes, but like, all of a sudden it's like, all right, now everyone get up and dance. And I'm like, wow, it's really good that I'm really comfortable with this woman here, because now I have to dance with her. And so that chemistry was there, the improv was there, and it was just like, okay, that was a lot of fun. I had a great time. Callback day goes by. I'm like, all right, didn't get it. 2 weeks later, I get a message from my agent, and she's like, hey, you're on hold for this. Like, are you still available? I was like, what? Like, this has gone by, what's happening here? And then she's like, please tell me you haven't changed your look at all. I'm like, well, I got a little bit of a trim in my hair. Like, she's like, you never do that, you know? I'm like, it's 2 weeks past. And then sent my passport photo, and it was like, you're booked. And I was on a golf course at this time. And had a pretty good round too. Yeah, shot a great round of golf. So it was exhilarating to be like, I finally got something. And it was quite a big paying job too. So it wasn't just something little. It was like, wow, I got a 7-day cruise from Vancouver to Alaska. I'm getting paid, session fee every day plus a large bio. And I was like, that's a nice first job. Like, it was like jobs that people are like, oh, that's the dream job to get, and this is your first one you've ever booked. Everyone I was with on the boat was just like, that's incredible. And 7 days on a boat, we all became really good friends, and we all still hang out and go for dinner and drinks, and we've had this like community where we support each other now too. So I found these other people that are like my comrades. They're like cheering us on, and I actually booked another job with one of the girls that was on the boat, but we were on separate days on the shoot, so we didn't get to actually hang out. But my first voiceover job that I booked was for a Italian kid show that won a bunch of awards in Italy, that they were going like, we need to put this to the English world. And so it was a dubbing project. And so they sent me the video clip of like this little boy and this little stuffed animal who comes to life, and the child has autism. And so he goes through all these high and low emotions and new scenarios, and he just kind of emotionally regulates him. And so it's all in Italian, and here's the English script, but this is the Italian, and I have to kind of match the mouth flaps and get the voices right. And I was like, it was for $100, like nothing. But I was like, doesn't matter, I'm gonna put everything I can into this. Spent like 3 hours trying to make sure my voice matched everything so that when they looked at it, they didn't have to be like, can we piece it together? It was already there for them. And they were like, oh, we love it, but can you delivery just a little bit more grandmotherly? And I was like, grandmotherly, okay. So I did another take and they're like, absolutely, we love it. And I was like, okay, cool. Like I booked something, like, yeah, I got it. And then time goes by and they're like, okay, here's your script. And that was it. And so I'm like looking over it, being like, okay, practicing all the lines in my voice. And then I'm in my booth at home doing an audition. It's 10 a.m. on a Monday. And my agent's like, did you know you're supposed to be in the studio today? You're doing your session. And I was like, I didn't get any information about that at all. And so like I have to be in the studio about a half an hour away in about an hour. I haven't showered, I haven't had any, I'm like, oh my goodness. So I really referenced back to like the improv and the body and movement classes where it's like, you have 15 minutes to get ready. Like you need to get into physical shape, you need to get your voice into shape. So I was just doing a quick little routine in the shower, doing some stretches, got down there and was like, okay, like here I go. And was thinking there was gonna be like someone on like live directed because they're in Italy. It was like, they're like, no, we trust the engineer here to just go through this with you, and just nailed it. And it was like so much fun. I was literally like vibrating. That first time getting out, because I loved dubbing here. It was so much fun. I love the challenge of like, these are your margins. Now work within it. I would say it was close. There were some big differences in the sense of like, there wasn't the like, boop, 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 and go. It was just like, we're gonna run it, you're gonna listen to it, and then right after you just do the line. So like you get an idea of the pacing and the timing, and we trust you as a professional to know how to do that. Like you have a moment to be like, okay, capture the emotion. What's the feeling that this is conveying right now, especially because it's another language. You're trying to be like, what's the emotion that this language is trying to give off right here? And then going, okay, cool, I've got 2.1 seconds to be really excited at like, and what we talked about, you're like, there's the 1 through 10. What level of the emotion are you pushing here? Are you a 10 with this happiness? Are you like a 7? So that was really important, having that like, where am I at? And so I drew on that for sure. And just the confidence of like, oh, I can mess up. And the engineer's not gonna be like, oh, that was terrible. It's just like, yep, go again. Yeah, okay, one more. I'm like, well, I love that. That was the one. Right on. Okay, let's move on. Script analysis, character commitment, and probably the connection with voice and body. I feel like they complemented each other. Like the voice and movement class, we would have that often in the morning with like Michael. And then we would come in here whatever day it was, and that was always such an asset, having that on a daily basis, where it was like, all right, here we go. You're already in your body, you're already ready to go, and now we're doing animation class with Ingrid or with Aaron Andrews, and you're already there. And you have to feel the character or the voice because you're not on camera, so all of the motions that you can do when you're on camera are not there. So you have to push that from the body into the voice. Like, oh, this guy's really strong. This guy's got a firm, he's very stubborn. So like that, planting my feet in the ground when I'm trying to like get on the mic, or I'd often find myself being on like 1 foot on the mic, where I'd be kind of like, I have to have that, like I'm just on edge, and I would change my body to feel that character when I was in front of the mic. I knew nothing about like the technological side of a voiceover, like what kind of mic or an interface or kind of a DAW I needed to be using, any of that kind of stuff. So that was integral to be able to have that information of going, how do I set this up so that I, someone who's not a tech savvy person, could go and plug in my spare bedroom, set up the right kind of sound foaming, and have an enclosed space where I could do the best I possibly could without having a $5,000 home whisper room or something. And it was all like, never any complaints. There was never any complaints about the quality that I was putting in for auditions. I never had to retake anything. My agent was always like, if it's not good enough, I will not submit it. And I've never had that conversation. So the understanding of the technological side of it was so important that I learned from here, because I just wasn't a part of my life. Like, I didn't play video games growing up. My parents were like, oh, it's all right. So like my understanding of the A to B to C with electronics was very small. And so I got a lot of information from that. Like the engineers here with Spencer, and then just with the other students, when they're like, oh, I just got this one, look how I can figure it out, and look at my booth or whatever. Like Carrie and I become very good friends, and we hang out all the time when we get the chance, but like represented by the same agent. So we're always kind of like, oh, did you get it? And we've done a couple jobs together actually, which has been really cool. Coming from a background of cooking, I always think that people eat with their eyes first. And I think that's very true in the voiceover world, that you have to look like you're marketable, like you have to look professional. And so when I went in and it was like, okay, I need to get a website, I wasn't just gonna go like, here, boom, 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 this little box. I have a friend who does that for a profession, and you even reached out and be like, yo, where's this guy at? Help me out here. And I was like, I'll ask him, but he was like, no, because I don't know how much like a website would have cost, but like, he's like, he did it for free for me. He's just a longtime buddy, and I love my website. I think it looks beautiful. It's so smooth and seamless. And I just think that like, if you were like, oh, who's this guy? And you go to my website, you're like, oh, okay, this looks good. Yeah, I'm very proud of it, and all kudos to my friend Dustin. Yeah, he held me down. And I was like, I don't have a lot of money, but like, can you give me a homie deal? He's like, I got you the free homie deal. It's all good. You don't have to pay a thing. I think I had a fear of like thinking I was something and then realizing I was not. And that like kind of trickled in as time went on, when a whole year goes by, and I was like, I totally thought I would have had something by now. And like, I was putting in good work, and then I would be hearing the jobs that I auditioned for and then the people that were selected, and I was like, I feel like I did a better job than that. And I was like, I think my fear was, am I even being listened to? Because I was so new, because I had no resume, because I know how casting goes, working in the commercial world, that like, it's about a budget. How much time do I have allotted for me to listen to all these things? If I have one day, I'm gonna look at all the names I already know, already have relationships with, and find the right one. And if I have more time, more budget allotted for me, I can look through the no names and maybe something will stand out. So I felt like a lot of times where I was doing something where I nailed it, I don't necessarily know if I got listened to. And I was afraid of that all that work was going in and I didn't get the chance. I think I just realized that it's like sales. You're gonna get a lot of no's. And it was just that it's not about the results, it's about the process. Don't get attached to results. Do the same thing that you always do that you know works, technologically wise, like, do the same thing in the studio, prepare the same way, and good work will eventually get noticed. That it's effort over everything. It's gotta be like what we talked about in here. You said, what's your superpower? And I said, optimism. That I'm always looking for silver lining. I'm always looking for like, what did I get out of that maybe terrible situation? Like, I learned so much about just trusting my sense and my gifts. That like, I got this. Whether I get the job or I don't, that was awesome. I learned something, I got something, I got an experience, and that will impact my next audition, my next role. It's always just kind of stacking up that like, you might not get this one, but down the road, that will impact the next one. Or you were like maybe this close but didn't know it because you're top 4, and so they don't give you a call back, but they're like, oh, that name. And then that, casting director remembers it and they go like, actually, there's something we have in mind for you. And so I've learned that is a huge part of it. Just optimism, always looking forward, looking at something that's gonna be like, think this is good. I've recommended it to anyone who's ever mentioned something about voiceover. because I can't imagine be like, oh, cool, let me figure this out, and going out there on your own. I thought I knew what voiceover was going to be, and then I did the is it the fundamentals?
The foundation.
The foundations of voiceover. I did that first, and I was like, oh yeah, this is what voiceover is. They're like, well, that might be a small part of it, but there's a whole lot more that goes into it. I probably recommended, 15, 20 people that were like serious about it, being like, you have to do this, whether it's a weekend course, it's online, whatever it is. Like, you have to do this, because what you get is from working professionals, not people who used to do it. They're doing it now. They're making a living doing it, and they love what they do, and they want you to succeed, even though you're going to become part of their competition. They still want you to succeed, because it's a little gold star for them. They're like, we're so good, we make everyone else around us good, which is like what I feel like is something I carry in my life, whether it was a cook, whether it was someone who's training someone to work in the high schools, elementary schools like I do as well. Like, I make those around me better. On the Mic made those who came in these doors way better. I learned so much about the entirety of the voiceover world that I would have had no idea of, and I probably would have quit. I would have went down on my own and got a bunch of no's and been like, I guess it's not for me. But this instilled in me the confidence and the foundation, the skill set to be like, no, you got it. Just be gentle with yourself and just keep doing the same thing. Every day, every script, every audition is an opportunity to learn something and grow, and that will stack up, and then good work will get noticed. I believe that, one, I think I have a unique voice profile that definitely stands out, and sometimes I go like, it's a curse, and other times I'm like, it's kind of a blessing. I think with my success, it comes a lot to do with relationships. Every time I've stepped into a studio, everyone loves me. And I'm like, oh wow, okay. And they're like, hey, if we have anything that we're in control of casting, we'll give you a call. And so I'm like, oh wow, okay, cool. There's success built on my work showing up before they even knew who I was and getting cast. And then the success around, like, you're building the relationships with the studios, with the engineers, with the owners of certain places, and them trusting you. And my agent trusts me. We have a plan. We have long-term goals. We communicate about that. And I have that success because of On the Mic, where I got to have a real conversation with that agent before I'd even graduated about what it looks like out there in the world. What kind of relationship do you want with your talent? Do you have goals and visions for them? And that's why I chose that agent. I had multiple agents reach out and want to represent me, but the one that I had a relationship with, I felt safe and trusted, and like I was gonna be taken care of. You get to play every day. I've always been a huge advocate for the power of play, like working with children my whole life, kind of just being goofy and silly, that like you get to, one, be you as authentically as you can, and at the same time, get to pretend to be somebody else at the same time. And I think that keeps you young. I think that keeps you vibrant. I think it keeps you excited that there's this possibility every day that something new is gonna come along. I've never been a 9-to-5 guy. I've never felt like that is where I fit in the world. And when I found voiceover, when I found On the Mic, it was like this whole world I didn't know existed opened up, and it was like, hey, yeah, you can be you, and you can get paid for that and have a lot of fun. And I was like, who wouldn't want to do this? But without On the Mic, I wouldn't have understood the skills and the knowledge necessary to go about it on my own. And so On the Mic really allowed me to, fill my tool belt up and feel like I was going to be more prepared to be myself out there in the world as a voiceover artist. Having a career in voiceover is definitely a viable option, but you have to be committed. It's not something that you can, half-ass. It's something that you have to be full in on, which is tough for people at first. I have other jobs I do, but this is always something I'm doing. I'm auditioning as often as possible, sometimes 7 to 10 times a week with my agent sending me auditions. And it's just, you have to believe that you can do it. If you're like, I don't know, then you're probably not gonna do it. It's just that it's gonna take time. It's like if you were to start up a restaurant. Usually people who start up restaurants don't pay themselves for 5 years. But then once they get past that threshold, all of a sudden there's this thing that just keeps working itself. As long as you keep doing what you know you need to do and you've got the knowledge and a team around you to support you. So I think it's something, if you really want to do it and you really want to do it, it's viable. You can make good money doing it. I know people, you know people in here that have done very well, you know, and it just maybe a couple jobs that they book a year, and that's, wow, you can live in Vancouver. So it pays, but it's pay now or pay later. And the pay now part is your time, your investment in your skills, and the belief that you can do it. And the pay later is what your bank account will see and the relationships that you'll build. I think to succeed the most is the lack of attachment to the ideas you have. You have to be willing to let go and flex and flow with whether it be a direction from a voice director, a director on set. This is my first idea of this character. Let go of attachment, and you have to be able to just free and flow, because when you go, this is how it's gonna be, you've already eliminated all the possibilities. So I think that, like, I learned that when we were doing animation classes. I would go into a character and Ingrid was like, that was really crazy. Are you sure that's the voice this character needs? And I remember being like, yeah, that's the voice I came up with. And it was like, well, let's try something different. And then realizing that, wow, that worked way better once I let go of what I created, allowing more space for new creations to come in that I was also a part of.